very welcome back. Now our next guest has become one of the UK's most prominent broadcasters, hanging her stellar TV career on her bright, bubbly persona.
And the last 12 months have been a busy year for her. Not only has she released a new series of her podcast, Thanks a Million, she's also set to host BBC's new show, Your Garden Made Perfect. TV presenter Angela Scanlon joins us from London this morning. But first, here's a wee sneak peek at her new show.
It's kind of like bulging onto the path. I like that.
That's giving you that nice, soft, flowy feel. Very straight path, but when you look down it, everything is billowing around, so it's all curvy.
Yeah.
One of the key bits of painting with plants is to look at your colour and look at your colour palette. Here is that somebody's chosen opposite colours. They've got these kind of gorgeous, rich purples and then these really vibrant oranges.
They've gone with clashing colours rather than soft complementary.
Absolutely.
Bulging onto the pathways, Angela, it is. That must be the technical term, is it? Good morning to you.
Morning.
Good morning. I think they got me for my, my vocab in the flowers department. But also, sorry, that's funny that you played that clip because I have got the director at the time was like, just something nice and colourful. It's summer. We want everyone to escape when it gets on air. And I arrived fully clad in black.
But you did have a colourful pair of sunglasses on.
I did. I tried to rein it back in.
Listen, the series, Angela, it's a follow-on to Your Home Made Perfect, which was a brilliant show. Does it follow the same format? We're just taking the show out into the garden now.
Exactly, yeah. So it follows predominantly the same format in that you have the virtual reality element. So you get to, each of the homeowners get to have two designers. There's a team of 4 this time as opposed to 2 competing. So a bit more variation there. And then they whack on the goggles. They step into their newly imagined garden and then they choose one and we build it. So the only change, apart from the fact that we're outdoors, is there's a second story alongside it that deals with much smaller budget projects. So everything from 500 quid upwards. So if you've got a small balcony or you're on a really tight budget, there's loads of things that you can do. You might need to get your hands literally dirty, but loads of solutions and loads of inspiration. So it's been really good fun. And I feel like I've unleashed my inner Monty Don or Dermot Gaffin or something. I find myself having much more chat with the oldies now, which is great.
Well, do you know what? It taps into 2 very important things for where we are right now, Angela. That is the budget, obviously, being very realistic, so everyone watching the show can take a little something away, even a little minor change in their own garden or on their own balconies. But also that whole virtual reality. I mean, we are doing almost everything virtually now. The classrooms have gone virtual. So it's very significant of the times that we're in, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, in a way, moving it out into the garden, we're all on top of each other, and in contained spaces, and people are losing their minds. And so actually the realization that you have a garden, I think we've just become really appreciative of that space and that escape if you're lucky enough to have it. And also the potential that lies in a garden. In terms of square footage, this is sexy chat now, but we really don't mind spending money on our living room, on revamping things, but we have a whole space outside that's used 10 minutes of the year when the sun shines. And so I think this year has really brought into focus how much value we're maybe not tapping into by creating essentially a different or an additional room in your outdoor space.
And how different was the actual mechanics of filming the show, Angela, during COVID? I mean, did you find it tricky at all?
Yeah, I mean, it's outdoors, so obviously it was safer than a lot of studio shows would feel. So we were able to distance relatively easy. But it's interesting because you don't get I realize that I'm quite dependent on a little nudge or a hug. I love hugging people, it turns out, and I can't do that. So you kind of, it's different. It definitely is different. But it works, and we obviously did all of the things that we were supposed to do, and we're super safe about it. And sticking a swab up my nose every 10 minutes to make sure that I wasn't bringing anything unsavory onto the set. But we were in a gorgeous farm in Somerset. And so, yeah, by and large, when it wasn't raining, it was quite idyllic.
Well, it's giving everyone lovely ideas. The other thing that's very relevant to the times that we're living through at the moment, Angela, is your podcast, Thanks a Million. And you've had really interesting guests on that. Tell us about the idea behind it, first of all.
Well, the idea was kind of exploring gratitude. I think and you mentioned, and I kind of laugh when you say my bubbly personality, because, I suppose I am quite positive, but the reality is that I have to work quite hard on being positive. And I've done like a lot of different things to keep me all head above water over the course of a number of years. And gratitude was this thing that kind of initially, when I was introduced to it, it was very American and it felt kind of quite fluffy. And maybe ironically, I took it for granted because it was free and it was really easy, and it was boring because it was like a consistency thing, whereas I wanted a magic pill or a jazzy light that would fix me in 10 minutes. And actually gratitude became this kind of thing that I would return to again and again, and the kind of power of shifting your perspective and your focus onto the things that you have, and the things that are important to you, as opposed to always looking outwards at the things that you don't have or you haven't done.
Do you think, Angela, that's one of the positive things that will come out of this mess that the entire planet is in, that it will change our perspective? Because we always say, you hear those cliches, you only realise how much you love something when it's gone, and you hear, but they're becoming very, very relevant now, aren't they?
I think so, and I think it does feel quite cliched, and it's the kind of thing that you maybe come to that realization after you've hit a rock bottom, or after you've got a shock, or after you've lost someone close to you. Often becomes a catalyst for people, and I think this has acted, in a collective way as a catalyst for us to reassess what's important to us, I suppose. And it does feel sometimes we resist those cliches. It's the little things, and it's those moments, and we take for granted those things that really are the things that make us happy, and you can be constantly striving. And that's not to say you sit at home and you meditate and you forget about everything. Like, you can still strive and create things and want things and success, or whatever that looks like for you. But I think it's kind of bringing it back to the now. And, and this all sounds very heady, but like, we've got an amazing array of guests on the podcast, and it's kind of my quite selfish way of tapping into their brains and what they do to keep on track. And we've got, there's quite a range. Katrina Balfe has been on there. Marion Keyes is still one of my favourite episodes, and really candid discussion about her, addiction and her recovery from that. And then you've got Joe Lycett, who's a big name in the UK you'll be familiar with. And he, one of the gifts that he's grateful for is a card that Sarah Millican gave him. And she only told him, a few months later that she had weed in the passenger seat. So you get quite a nice rounded sense of a person, and kind of insight into their lives through these big thank you moments, the thank you that got away. I hope it just kind of gives a little bit of perspective and is an oral hug, which sounds a bit creepy.
Absolutely.
Good on
well,
you.
The podcast Thanks a Million is up and running wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, when can we see the new BBC show, Angela?
This Thursday, 8
Brilliant.
o'clock, BBC 2. 4th of Feb. So
Good
we're up
on you.
and running 6 acts.
Well, listen, keep up the good work, stay safe and well, and we'll catch up with you soon. Take care.
Take care,
Thanks
Angela.
so much. Lovely to see you. Bye-bye.
The lovely Angela Scanlon. Right, still to come this morning, we'll reveal the artist behind the animation. Stay tuned for that.
Still guessing.
Haven't a clue.